Yeah, it's really great. It is amazing. It is a good movie. It is a good movie. That's the short answer for the thumbnail, the title of the video. Now, I would say there were some few things that I like to criticize, and those few things will not mean anything from my reviews. However, there are things that I would like to talk about, and what makes the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie Part 1 a great movie. Because I just watched it recently, just yesterday, and I'd like to talk about it right now. And it's way better than whatever, the Indonesian government is putting out these days. So let's stop wasting time, let's get to the nitty gritty, and obviously, spoiler alerts for those who haven't watched the movie, if you don't know, and spoilers who hasn't watched Demon Slayer the whole time, or who hasn't watched Demon Slayer forever. By the way, I'll be holding this. Yes, I know it's a sword because I'm a huge Demon Slayer guy. Well, no, I'm a huge sword guy. So, and Demon Slayer has swords. It's basically swords, killing demons with swords. And I'm gonna be fiddling with this like a true toy. And I hope YouTube doesn't flag me for this because I'm holding a historical artifact. Yeah. Obviously, we're gonna do the 10 things, the small 5 things, and the small big things. That's going to, affect everything. So let's begin. Alright, Demon Slayer movie. I'll give you the prompts for now. For those who have no idea what the Demon Slayer movie is, well, basically, it's in the title. There's demons, and we want to kill it. It's basically that. Now, there is some tidbits of lore of how this began. Michael Jackson wanted to become immortal in something, and then there's this Yurichi Tanjiro. You're just gonna have to watch the whole Demon Slayer TV series or show. I can't tell you everything all at once because this is not about a recap of the original Demon Slayer series before season 1 to season 4. I am not a recap guy, and I'm not talking about much about anime. I'm just talking about the movie, and I really caught up with the lore, and you should too if you really want to, understand here. But I'm pretty sure if you watch the movie without watching like the tidbits of the other series, like the season 1 to season 4, and you just got the synopsis of the other, movies and series, you'll understand. And my obviously favorite character is Rengoku. Yeah, so what? He's dead. He's still my goat. So the first is the 5 one. Let's start with something simple. The music. I think the music is pretty great. So we're already starting here from spoilers. When Giyu versus Akaza, when they were fighting in the middle of the Infinity Castle, they were fighting, and then there's this piano thing. My sister was there, and she really liked the piano thing. And there was the fight with Shinobu and Doma. That was a really good music settings. We're still talking about the music. I like how they, not mumble up with just, Japanese traditional music, like with the shamisen or Enraku or Gagaku music. They also have the tidbits of, Western music like pianos and harps and other, Western music. I like they have to blend that with the other things, like depending on the who's fighting. For example, like if it's Obanai, they put like a violin there. Because, and then when there's Giyu and Akaza, the piano, because it shows, it kind of reminds me of how they made Naruto, the music blended with the characters, which is really great, especially the one with pain. Okay, I'm getting off track. Yeah, the background obviously is great. It started in the Infinity Castle. For those who don't know, the Infinity Castle is the Demon HQ, and it's run by Nakime. That's his power. She's the Biwa lady that holds the Biwa, and if you don't know what a Biwa is, it's just a giant Japanese guitar tribe something. And every bit of the background is great. The effects are amazing. I think the animators did a pretty good job making this. Now, Toei Animation is obviously known for great animations. Their animators got paid with gold bars and, stripes of, $100 bills as their, paperweights or something. But I'm really sure that they did their heart and soul into this movie. That makes everything that they do, every effects they've done is glinting and eye-candying. It's just amazing that everything that they do, everything they touch, everything they write, everything they draw, it goes to a bit of the effects. Now, there's one bit of a criticism on another topic is the CGI. The CGI is actually not that bad. It's way better than the Swordsmith's Villager arc, where there's the giant fish things with the giant claws. It's really weird, and also with the fish attacks. I think they did a pretty good job with the effects of the CGI, even though I can't tell which is CGI, which one is which one where they fumble it. For example, there's some like rumble effects or like effects of like the buildings that fall in or water. I can see a bit of there, and I thought people couldn't blend CGI with animation, but they somehow managed to do so. Especially when there's that scene where Muzan and or she's in some kind of giant mutant bubble, some Resident Evil stuff. He was in there like regenerating his body or something. I think that was pretty good CGI. The buildings, however, it's not so great. Now the voice actors, obviously they did also a good job. I know the voice actors, and yeah, they were pretty good, and I think they had a good choice of doing it. Now, the other things I like to talk about are like the like the small plot points, the small details that they do. Every part of the animation, everything else is pretty great, and those are the big fives I've already told. So we can already hold on to those 5 points, and now let's go on to the big points. Now, the lore. Let's get it started with. So after Muzan was trapped, baited into to kill them immediately, or at least hold them until the sunrise. They wanted to slay them until the sunrise. But then he had a plan too. He told Nakima to drop everyone into the Infinity Castle, and boom. They all went there. So I really want to talk about more of the animation, but I just couldn't give you much more spoilers. But everything is just so amazing. So imagine the fight scenes. It's amazing by not just because of the flashy attacks thing, but also how they a pinpoint of where they would land and when would they hurt, and the movements. Yeah, there are some a lot of anime plot points that where you move like this, and then they do this, and then they jump crazily over here. And I know that the effects aren't real in the Demon Slayer world because those fire effects, those water effects, they're just illusion or just in the people's mind zones. They don't actually exist. It's magic. Although I don't believe that much on magic. I'm just gonna say that yeah, sure, whatever. It's magic or something. Now, the whole plot. Let's get back to the plot. Yeah, Muzan, they're trapped there. So there's a whole giant war going on. So the Demon Slayers are going to have to find Muzan and kill them. If you kill Muzan, they kill everybody. And while this was happening, the corpse and Ubayashiki's family, the guy who's blind, that's also like something warping in his man, he's dead. But their sons and daughters, and with the assistants, they drew a map, trying to find Muzan because they were trying to they set the crows down to the Infinity Castle, where they were flying around and giving information and news, which I'm pretty sure the communication skills. And they had those eye things. That means they were working with Lady Tamayo and that Yushiro kid. I think his name is Yushiro. Yeah. So they were working together, which is pretty great. I think it's pretty great. And they were searching for Muzan. And this is one of the things I find the plot holes, I guess, because the Infinity Castle keeps moving. As long as Nakime keep playing the biwa, it's going to keep moving, and they will just find him. If they even try to get close to Muzan, he will just move him to a different building, which is different than spoiler. He was actually there trying to regenerate in this giant, tumor bubble, and he will just be moving everywhere. So it's really hard to find him, and it's called the Infinity Castle for a reason. So there is a crazy way, but they just keep doing it, and then they just keep writing the papers, and they get their quills and their brushes and try to find every single parts of the Infinity Castle just to find Muzan, which is kind of weird because I don't think if they know if it's the Infinity Castle, I can understand that. A few of them fights, a lot, happen, including, first of all, we need to talk about what are the fights that there's. there are 3 demons that are supposed to be in here. Actually, there's 4 demons, 5 actually, upper rank demons, and they were supposed to fight each other. I guess they're trying to, mash up who fights who, which is great. All right, now we're going to, combine everything here with lore, characters, and everything. Now, let's shine with characters. Obviously, we'd start with Tanjiro. I think Tanjiro here is just a just the main character. I guess they didn't make him that important right now. I think he is still important, trying to, be a part of the Demon Slayer Corp. He was just, trying to do his best, fight his best, and understanding the transparent world, which his dad taught him when he was doing this. I guess that's all the things I know about Tanjiro. I think he's trying to avenge him, and he's trying to tell Akaza that he wants to fight him here. I'm not going to come closer with the Shinobu. I think we should start with now. Here's my opinion with the Shinobu versus Doma thing. I didn't feel too much about that, okay? I understand that why people hate Doma. Now, here's the thing I need to talk about. Doma, he's a stupid person. Like, he doesn't have any emotions. He has a little careless about the world. He thinks that the world comes in rainbows, that the red part is blood and the blue ones are probably, other chemicals. What I mean is that he's a mixed, weird person who is confused that everything he does is the right thing. And I think that makes a pretty good character of him because he's clueless about pain and, clueless about what he's done, which makes him a good character, but also makes him annoying a bit because I don't really care that much of what he does, and it does come to your nerves, not because you're angry about him. Well, to me, okay, this is my opinion. To me, he doesn't get he doesn't get a bit annoying, but he doesn't ticks my nerves, unlike, with Shinobu. And I think they did an okay job with Shinobu, sacrificing himself and avenging her sister. And I know what's gonna happen because I got a bit spoiled in the manga, and I haven't read too much. I didn't read too much of the manga, so I will be okay with it. And I think that's it with the Shinobu thing. I know Inosuke is gonna come after, and also Kanao. They're gonna defeat Doma. I know that they're gonna poison him. Spoilers. So yeah, and then there's the one I really want to talk about is the Akaza and Tanjiro and Gyu. We'll talk about that later, but let's talk about the solo act. Zenitsu versus Kaigaku. And I really like this. I finally see Zenitsu not being a useless prick who is like screaming and crying all the time. And I actually sometimes agree with Kaigaku that he always cries all the time. But I'm glad that when I agree with Kaigaku before and not at right now, because if you don't know, his grandpa, who is his trainee, who teach him thunder breathing, he committed suicide. Sorry for the S word. He committed seppuku, and nobody cuts his head, so he dies an agonizing death. And he blames himself. He also blames Kagaku because he tried to tell him that I tried to make him, become back, but he always just sees him as a giant wimp. And Kaigaku is just, I don't really like, weak people. That's more likely Akaza's emotion, but it's more of a Kaigaku thing where he's just a whiny kid, and I can't believe I had to be with him. It's sort of like a brother thing, and so after that, Zenitsu just tell him that, I'm sorry, I've done everything I can. We separate always, and I really like that. I really like how Zenitsu is really trying. He did all what he can, but without any reasoning. He tried to reason with Kaigaku as much as he can, but to the end, they didn't. They just went their separate ways, and I guess Zenitsu learned that. Hey, I think I lost Kaigaku, but I think I also think I failed Grandpa, but he didn't. I don't know. I kind of remember the whole thing with Zenitsu and everything. Kaigaku died, which I can't believe he 1v1 him, which is great. He thought of a new move just to show him. We created him. Again, emotions were flying. I understand what's going on, and I guess that's at the end of the Akaza. At the end of Zenitsu versus Kaigaku, it was a short fight. I like how the fight was almost short, but also it was really long with the dialogue. I think they kind of mix with the dialogue and the fights evenly, right on time. There are other characters too, like Muichiro and Sanami and Genya. They're all like there just fighting demons and just saying, "Hey, good job, we're killing them. It's okay, we're good." And because it's going to be on the second movie or in the third movie. Now the second and then the final part we're starting with Akaza versus Giyu and Tanjiro. Now I understand that this part was meant to give Akaza one of the saddest backstories ever. I think Akaza is a great character, even though I don't like him because he killed my goat. He killed my sensei. He killed Rengoku. Ah. But I'm not here to talk about my favorite character because he's donated. He's dead. Okay. So Akaza, I really like this character. Now here's the thing I really like to criticize. I think they keep blending the backstory with the actual fight, and this is almost to the ending part. And I understand that it is an anime thing that they like to, mix the backstories and then went back to the fight. And then they make a whole episode about just one backstory. I think this is the reason why I think it should be a series. However, they won't make enough money and the animators won't get enough money to make more movies. And, to continue the movies. The fight is amazing. I already told you. The animation is stunning. You're just going to have to watch it. There's this one time they would fight and then Tanjiro was like, learning about the transparent world. It was just like mostly CGI, but then also they learned stuff. And I like how they defeated Akaza by not just by you're supposed to not have a fighting spirit, not supposed to fight him with anger or anything. Just have a purpose, or just like fight him with without content or something. Now that's enough of that, and I don't think you and Tanjiro did too much here with the Akaza backstory. I think they were just there for the fighting. It's just I do agree about it, and the more I talk about it, the more I realize that they were just there to defeat him, and there were so many dialogues of how to fight them. The fight is just amazing. That's all I had to say. Now here's what I think about the Akaza backstory. I think it's a really good backstory. It's a great backstory. The thing is, it doesn't pull my heartstrings because it was an animation and it kind of blends way too much with the story and the animation. Now, the story with the actual current fight. Now, when his head was cut off and he was walking all over, and that's where they let's start the backstory from there, I guess. I don't know when, I forgot somehow. The fight. So basically, Akaza's backstory that he had a bad life. He was always meant to protect people. He always sees the weak people as disgusting because they can do anything and they can also feel pity about him. And because he was the strong one doesn't mean he was always the big one, always the one who's protecting, and he was who the weak one always don't fight fair. I understand where he's going, and then it comes to the part where this backstory was great. It comes to the part when you realize, wow, it happens in these 2-hour moments. It just happens with the backstory with the actual fight, and I understand why, and I'm just gonna let that happen. Now, for the other reason is, I think it wasn't fast paced. I think I understand truly, but I want to see more. And it's enough, but I want just a little bit more of the backstory. Maybe it's not too much to ask. So yeah, anyways, the Akaza thing was great. They defeated Akaza and everything was going well. And I also like other characters like Tengen and Rengoku, Rengoku's dad, who is guarding Nezuko, and everything was all just there in the background. So anyways, yeah, that's my criticism and my official views of the Demon Slayer movie. Plugging it into the movie Radionator, I'm giving the Demon Slayer movie Part 1 a drumroll. I forgot my pen and paper, so I'm just gonna say an 8.5 out of 10. That's basically a 9, so for all the Demon Slayer fans, don't come up to me. I have a sword, I can take you on my own, and I'll use a breathing technique. Anyways, yeah, it's a good movie. The visuals are great, the story is great, the background, the music, and everything was all perfect. There are some tidbits and there are some nitpicky things, like how the backstory was just, way in too much with the fighting, and how much their fight was, always around the neck, which just makes me, interesting. It was really great. So anyways, yeah, the Demon Slayer movie, 8.5 out of 10, also known as 9 out of 10. Really great movie. Can't wait to watch the second one, part 2. I'm not getting any manga spoilers, and I hope you guys don't too. So anyways, that's about it for the Demon Slayer movie. See ya.